Hey, how's it going? Bob Deboo here for Open Studio. Today we've got some exercises to help us hear harmony a bit better. So as bass players, we play single note lines for the most part. So we are considered a melodic instrument, but harmony is multiple notes at the same time, i.e. chords. So of course, music is an oral art form. You can look at chord charts and you can look at musical notation written out, but really when it comes down to it, you're on the bandstand, it's all about using your ears, right? So today we're going to look at 3 different levels of harmony that we're going to try to play along with, and I've got some fun exercises to help us do that. So we're going to look at triads, then we're going to look at seventh chords, the common seventh chords, not all of them, and then some dominant seventh chord like extensions and alterations. So 3 different levels of hearing, but it's all crucial to being a good functioning bass player and just playing with what's happening in the moment. So let's begin by quickly reviewing our triads. We have 4 triad types, of course. They're major, minor, augmented, and diminished. Let's play through those now just with the root of C to get those in our ears. Here we go. So we're going to have 4 clicks and then we'll get started. This is C, major. So you hear that major third, right? Now C again, but now the third has been lowered to make it minor. Then we got C again, but now this is augmented, the raised fifth, now diminished. And a flat 5, right? And that's it. That's all of the triad types that we have, right? But we have to have a very, very good understanding of how they're built and how to play along with them when we hear them, right? So here is the exercise based around triads. We're going to play around the cycle of fourths, and I'll keep that down here so you can see. We're going to go from C, the cycle of fourths is C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, and then back to C again. So that gives us all of our keys, and that's likely nothing new to you, but that's a good way for us to practice these chord types. Now, the rub is that we're going to know what the root is because we're going to go around the cycle of fourths. What's going to change is the chord quality as we progress. All right, so we're going to start off fairly simple though. We're just going to vary it between major and minor. Okay, so the roots are always going to go around the cycle of fourths, but the chord qualities, we're going to have to listen to find out what they are. So let's begin. We're going to have 4 clicks in. We're starting in C. What do you hear? Root, third, and fifth, major. So we have to listen real quick. We'll hit that root, but now what do you hear? The fifth is always going to be the same with these because they're either major or minor. So the third is really what we're looking for. It sounds minor, right? It's different. Here's D flat. Yeah, that's right. It's minor. Here comes F sharp. Now here's B. Minor, right? So if we played a major third on that, it would sound bad, right? So we don't want to do that on the stage. That's why we practice this here. A. What do you hear? Good. Here's D. That's minor, right? Minor again. Okay, now it's just your turn. So here's C, but what kind of chord are you hearing? Play root, third, fifth. Now F. Here comes B flat. Is it major or minor? And again, if you're getting all of these, you're nailing them, that's great. Congratulations. We're gonna keep working on this though because it's foundational for the following chords that are coming up that we're gonna study. A little more advanced. Here we are at F sharp. And then B. Yeah. And E. So we don't know what's coming up, right? But we have to respond in real time. A. It's minor, right? Here's D. And here's our last one for now. G. What did you hear? And then it went back to C there. So these backing tracks are all just made in iReal Pro. You can change them. You can make your own. I literally just made these. And bring up the audio. It's nothing super inspiring to listen to, but it can kind of simulate being in a situation. You don't want to ask your friends, hey, can you play piano and go around the cycle of fourths with me for like an hour playing different chord qualities and see how I do? No, we can't do that. So that's where we can utilize some of this technology to really help us with our ear training. Okay, so of course we just did root thirds and fifths. You can of course change that. You can also try walking. So you could do something like this. So I know we're going to start in C, right? Major. Now we're going to F something. F minor, right? Here's B flat. Major. As long as we hit the root. A flat. Ah. So I can help us to hear. But sometimes you have to wait a minute for it to kick in. Major. And I put it on seven there. Right, so that's a practical way you can do this too, and I'll of course provide the audio. Just click the link downstairs, you can get all that put together, and also any of the on-screen graphics that you're seeing here today. So just click that link, easy, it's free. Let's look really quick at augmented and diminished triads and do the same thing. With our play along, we're going to know the roots because it's going around the cycle of fourths, but we have to use our ears to try to hear whether that's a minor third or a major third. And between these two, if you hear a major third, it's going to be augmented, right? You're going to hear that sharp 5. If you hear from the root to a minor third, it's going to be diminished because that's our only two qualities we're dealing with for this particular one. So try this with me now. Again, we're going to start in C. Just play the root. I heard a third, a major third that is. Here's F. It sounds minor, so I know that's diminished. Here's B flat. What do you hear? Good. Now sometimes these are tricky for people. It just sounds kind of odd to a lot of ears, when you first get started doing this, but the more you practice this, of course, your ears are going to open up and be able to hear this kind of harmony. That's diminished. Of course, D flat. Here's F sharp or G flat. Same thing into B. Right. E. Right, that minor third makes it diminished. Here's A. Major third. Right, here's D. And here's G. What do we have? Major third. Okay, now you just try it. I'll play the roots. What do you hear? Minor third. Yep, diminished. Good. What about now? That major third makes it an augmented chord. Did you get that? B flat. So what does that mean? It's diminished. Diminished. Good, augmented. Diminished. Good. That major third is telling me it's augmented. Here's E. What do you hear? That major third, right? A. Do. Good. D. What you got? And then that's diminished. Right? Excellent. So again, you can do this as much as you want. Just put it on loop and keep practicing that until you have a really, really good, solid foundation of hearing your major, minor, augmented, and diminished triads. It's one thing to know them, how they're built, what notes construct those triads. It's a whole other thing to be able to hear them and hear the roots. And we're just going around the cycle of fourths. You could also do this progression, say, in ascending whole steps, or descending whole steps, or ascending half steps, descending half steps, around major thirds, a bunch of different options, right? Next, let's look into seventh chords. We're only going to look at really common seventh chords. Of course, there's a lot of different ways to do this. We're going to look at major seventh chords, dominant seventh, minor seventh, diminished seventh, and then half diminished. And this time we've got a slightly different thing that we're going to play instead of just root, third, and fifth. Let's check that out now. All right, so for our seventh chords exercise, let's just start. We're going to play make sure we have a good foundation on the 7th chords and how they're built and how to hear them. So we're just gonna keep the root at C this time around, and then we'll do it through the cycle of fourths and see what comes up. Okay, so the lick or whatever that we're gonna try to fit into this harmony is gonna start on beat 3, so that we have a minute to hear or try to really listen to what's coming out of the audio play along, and then respond as best we can. So the idea is we're gonna play something like this: 1, 2. That way we're hitting the important notes. This is root 7th, particularly in this case it's a major 7th, back to the root, and then the 3rd, in this case a major 3rd. So just that much information, root 7th, root 3rd, tells us that it's a C major 7th chord. Okay, if we did the same thing to C dominant 7th, do, boom, ding, that's all we need to know. We don't need to hear that 7th way up there. Well, you can, of course, but we can just hear it down here from the root. The 7th is a lot closer to the root than we think, oftentimes. The next chord quality is C minor 7th, so you do the same thing. Right, and that gets you that. Diminished 7th is C, B natural, C, E flat, and we want to hit an F sharp or a G flat right here. So we'll play one extra note to make this happen. With half diminished, we just lower the 7th by a half step. So let's try this really quick, and you can see all this on screen. Let's play this along with our audio track. Again, the root is only going to stay C for this particular time, so play this along with me. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now we can hear that chord, right? C dominant 7th. Hear that 7th move down a half step? No. Good. What's next? Diminished. Okay. Here's our last chord quality. Good. Excellent. So that's just that's our foundational to make sure we're getting this lick together. Now let's move it into the audio play along that's going around in the cycle of fourths and test our hearing based on that. Okay, so let's get into it. Now we're going to go around the cycle of fourths with our audio play along. We're gonna narrow our scope down just a little bit though to make sure that we're really getting the foundational aspects of the most common 7th chords that we come across in jazz. That would be the major 7th, the dominant 7th, and then the minor 7th. So with this particular play along, we're going to leave out the diminished and the half diminished chords just for now, for time's sake too. So, but if you make your own play alongs, you can add them in, of course, and work on that in just the same way that we're about to do now. Okay, again, you can get all the audio that you can practice playing along with. Just click the link down there, all the free PDFs and stuff too, all right there. So let's try this. Of course, we're going to start in C. We're going around the cycle of fourths. But again, is it going to be major 7th, dominant 7th, or minor 7th? We have to listen. Let's try. 2, 3, 4. Here's C. Now here's F. So what do we hear? Let's go to B flat, major 7th. All right, what do we have next? E flat. Minor 7th, right? Here's A flat. Okay, D flat. D flat 7, right? Here's G flat. If we put that in there, it would clash, right? Major 7. And hearing just down from the root can really help a whole lot to hear that 7. And these first 2 beats are giving us a chance hear what it is the play along is giving us. Here's G. All right, now your turn. Here's C. What do you hear? Major 7th, right? Here's F. There's a whole step below the root, so that's dominant 7th. Minor 3rd. Good. B flat minor 7. E flat. Good. Major 7th, right? What do you have now? Minor 7. Good. There's G flat or F sharp. Play that lick, but make it fit. Here's B. E 7, root third, what's fitting. And if you get it wrong, it's totally okay, right? Practice is all about making mistakes. Can you hear that? Minor 7, good. G, major 7. Now check this out. So here's another thing that I like to do. Like what we were doing with the triads, you can practice walking. See how quickly you can respond and make as good a walking bass line as you can. That's outlining the harmony as best we can. This might come up because we might be playing a tune that we don't know. Going to B. So this is just an example, right? I'm just doing this on the spot. But I can't lead into any thirds. I got to start on the root when I do this, right? Because I can't assume that I know what the chord quality is going to be. Right? So you could do that. You could use this variation on all the examples we're checking out today too. Let's check out some of our common extensions and alterations really quick. What's an extension? An extension is when we go up higher. So we've hit roots, thirds, roots, thirds, fifths, sevenths, and then we get up to ninths, right? But we're going to do all these extensions and alterations over a dominant chord. So we're going to play C, E, G, and then B flat. But then an extension would be to say go up to the ninth. Up here, right? Another very common one is up to the 13th. So you could do that, but that's kind of crazy to think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 notes up there, right? So just like we were thinking about with the sevenths, 13ths are sixes, they can be lower, right? So we can play a sixth up here or a 13th up here, right? But the first one we're going to check out is ninths. So we're going to look at C9, which would be like this. And the last note we play is either going to be the extension or the alteration, so it gives our ears time to catch up. So that would be like a C9. If we turn this into C7 flat 9, right, just that we lowered the D by a half step, right? Same with C7 sharp 9. And the reason I'm playing this particular cell or this example of 1, 7, 1, 3 is because, of course, it relates to the seventh chord exercise that we just did. But we want to hear that DNA of the chord itself and then add in the extension or the alteration of the moment, right? So let's look at another variation. Those were our ninths, but now let's look at things that you can do with the fourth note of the scale. We're going to look at raising it by a half step, so C7 sharp 11. This is just a really similar type of pattern, root 7, root 3, sharp 11. So we're raising the fourth degree by a half step. So the closest by cell to this would be like a C7 sus now. So I'm going to hit F natural and then just G because that's a really common, like a chordal arpeggio, right? Finally, let's look at 13ths really quick. So again, here is our shape. We're going to do root 7th, root 3rd, and then on the end of this phrase, we'll add in the 13th, which could be right there. You can find any other cells or whatever you like to do with this, of course, but this is just the one we're providing today. What about this? So if that was the 13th, of course, that's the flat 13th, right? So now let's play them with our play along where the root is always C and we can hear what the chords are being played and put these cells along with them. Okay, here we go. So the root is always going to be C. We're going to play C9, C7 flat 9, C7 sharp 9, C7 sharp 11, C7 sus, C13, and then C7 flat 13. Kind of a lot, but here we go. 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2. Okay, what do we have now? Oh, C7 flat 9, right? next to the major third. Good. Here's a 13. Remember, these first two beats are just giving us a chance to hear. Good. And of course, you can loop that. You can do that a bunch. Practice singing along with this, of course, too. And just, trust your ears. The further along you get with this, trust that you're either getting it right or you're getting close, and either way is cool. All right? So let's put this into our cycle of fourths practice now. All right, here we go. Here's our third level. We're going to go around and use these alterations and extensions on dominant seventh chords that we were just talking about and just practicing, except we're going to do them around the cycle of fourths. So it's really, this is just good practice to do on the instrument itself, but we're doing it in relationship to our ears. All right, so let's try it. So we're going to start in C, 3, 4. C9, right? F. Flat 9, right? Here's B flat. Sounds like a 9, natural 9. Yeah, here we go. A flat. D flat what? It's got this really common quality. G flat. Okay, what else do we have? I love those sharp 9 chords. Here we go. What about this? G what? Ah. Flat 9. You try it. Here's the roots. C7 flat 9. Here's an F. F what? Sharp 9. Here's B flat. What you got? Flat 9. Good. What do we have here? That was E flat 7 9 or E flat 9. Here's A flat 7 sharp 9. D flat. That's a flat 9. Right? B. B7 flat 9. Here comes E. What you got? Yeah, that's that natural. It sounds more grounded, right? So a little dissonance. There's that flat 9 sound. You can always sing from the root too. It's not a flat 9 in this case. Although sharp 9 chords can also have that in there. Let's go into sus territory and sharp 11 territory. So that's C7 sus. That's sharp 11. Here's a B flat, but what? Good. Now we have an E flat chord. Good. A flat. Here's a D flat. Good. G flat. Sus. Here's a B something. So these are pretty easy to differentiate between. E something. One sounds way more tense than the other, right? A. Good. Here's D something. D sus, right? Good, good, good. So these play-alongs too, they keep going. We're not hitting the 13ths and flat 13ths right now. You could do that definitely on your own. But I just wanted to conclude with these are 3 different levels: triad, 7th chords of varying types, and then really common alterations and extensions. It's by no means meant to be exhaustive. It's just meant to have provide hopefully some inspiration to practice around the cycle of fourths and use your ears as best you can. You could use these play-alongs too to just walk under again, soloing over. That's a great idea. It's just the point is to really just not know what's coming up and trust your ears as best you can. Totally, absolutely, 100% okay to make mistakes doing this stuff. It's actually really encouraged because we learn the best from our mistakes, obviously, right? Okay, so my name is Bob Deboo. Thanks for watching here for Open Studio. If you like what we do here, please consider checking out the Bass All Access Pass over at Open Studio. We practice stuff like this all the time. And you also get access to all the great bass courses at Open Studio, courses by Christian McBride, Reuben Rogers, a few by myself, and just a bunch of great stuff. So until next time, happy practicing. Peace.